Coming up on this edition of MHS Rewind, we'll take a look at how the recent rising tensions in the Middle East have impacted an MHS teacher stationed in Saudi Arabia. We'll take a look at how the new tobacco age will impact tobacco offenses at MHS, and we'll have a look at the recent renovations to the high school and the plans for a new field house.
And in sports, we'll check in on the girls basketball team who's been destroying their competition, and take a look how the swim team did at last weekend's Mid-State Conference meet. Good afternoon, MHS. I'm Matt Thomas.
And I'm Annabelle Cleary. We'll have all those stories and more coming up on this edition of MHS Rewind. When the United States killed an Iranian general a couple of weeks ago, it triggered panic around the world and the U.S. The hashtag World War III was trending on social media, and the Selective Service website where 18-year-olds must register in case there's a draft crashed. Hannah Johnson takes a closer look at how the recent rising tensions in the Middle East have affected an MHS teacher who is currently deployed in Saudi Arabia, and his wife, who is also a teacher at MHS.
MHS social studies teacher John Marion was 7,000 miles away from home when he first heard the news of General Soleimani's death. Marion is a lieutenant colonel in the Indiana National Guard and is currently deployed in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, right in the middle of the current conflict in the Middle East.
In some ways, this is a guy who has caused a lot of harm to American soldiers over the years. So, like most people in my situation, it's not too disappointing to see somebody like that removed from the battlefield.
Soleimani's death and the rising tensions with Iran haven't changed Marion's mission, though. He's been in Saudi Arabia since July, serving as an advisor to the Saudi Arabian military.
We've had to step up some security measures, but other than that, it's pretty much business as normal.
Back in Martinsville, it's pretty much business as normal for John's wife, Lita, as well. She's in the classroom every day at MHS teaching her students algebra, but she's not too worried by the recent events unfolding with the Middle East either.
Whose class are you in?
This is John's fourth deployment overseas, so she's had to deal with this before. However, this time has been a little different. Their two children, Andrew and Christian, are now away at college, so that means Lita's home alone and has to do everything by herself.
I'm not used to doing everything on my own, like mowing the grass, cleaning the house, taking out the trash. I'll be glad when he's back so he can cook for me because I don't like to cook.
It's always hard to be away from family. Technology helps these days because we can remain more in communication with each other, but it's always still hard because you're missing birthdays, Christmas, and other holidays.
The rising tensions in the Middle East have some people worried about the possibility of a draft.
I don't want young kids over there, but I think we need to be there right now.
However, John says the situation right now is not serious enough for that to happen.
There's nothing that points to a conflict that would require that much manpower, and Congress would have to go and authorize the draft. And right now, the political situation, I don't think would allow them to pass the draft.
And that's good news for the Marions. John's deployment will likely end as scheduled. John is due to be back to the U.S. in March, when he'll be reunited with his family and maybe even get the chance to cook his wife a much-deserved meal. For MHS Rewind, I'm Hannah Johnson.
In December, President Donald Trump signed a bill into law that makes it illegal for a retailer to sell any tobacco product, including cigarettes, cigars, and e-cigarettes, to anyone under 21. Alex Piccolo takes a closer look at how MHS deals with tobacco offenses and what kind of impact the new law may have on that.
The new law won't have a big impact on how the school handles tobacco-related offenses. MHS Principal Dr. Nick Sears says the school will continue their mission to not only discipline the students who violate the tobacco policy, but also educate them on the harmful effects of the products.
There's really standard things that happen. Parents are notified. We have a tobacco or nicotine or addiction cessation type of class. It's 2 or 3 sessions, about 2 or 3 hours total. There's a ticket. Usually they get a ticket that's about $150. And then after that, it really goes to exclusion. You know, you could be excluded from your sport or your club or suspended altogether from school.
One change students will see, however, is who is issued a ticket. Previously, if you were 18 and got caught with a tobacco product at school, you could avoid the $150 ticket, but now with the age change, that's not the case.
Gas stations and vape shops were also affected by the recent law change. They've had to put up new signs and make sure their employers knew of the recent law change.
I think you'll see that addressed a lot more in your community with retailers, and I think you'll have a lot of problems in the retail business where they have new obligations and new rules, and they're also under the authority of the state excise. So excise will have a lot more to do as far as regulating the retailers. I just don't see it being a lot more work locally for law enforcement.
Dr. Sears says the school has discussed some creative ways to help those students who are already addicted to nicotine.
There's been a little discussion before that through a doctor prescribed patch, would that be something that we could look at for students in this school that have that doctor prescribed patch? If that eliminates them being in the bathroom smoking illegally or against policy, and it allows them to stay in school for education.
For MHS Rewind, I'm Alex Piccolo.
State Senator Rodric Bray recently spent a day at MHS before the break to get a better sense of how a school functions and some of the challenges teachers face. Physics teacher Deb Schoolcraft invited the senator to MHS and planned a full schedule for him. Bray visited with Schoolcraft's physics students and talked policy with the students in Mr. Sturgeon's U.S. history class. Bray also met with some MHS teachers to hear how laws passed at the state level affect how they teach. Bray's an MHS graduate, and he still lives in Martinsville. He's been in the Senate since 2012 and is currently serving as the Senate President Pro Tem.
The Community Foundation of Morgan County has extended their scholarship deadline to January 31st. Students can apply on the Community Foundation website at cfmconline.org/donors/scholarships. Scholarships range from $250 to $5,000.
The Mpulse Show Choir has spent weeks preparing for their first competition and are leaps and bounds ahead of where they've been in the past.
For a show choir, you literally have to dance for 15 to 18 minutes straight, no breaks, and you have to have, in our case, 28 people all doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, all set to music. It's very highly coordinated and difficult.
The students in Mpulse spend more than 10 hours a week singing and dancing, perfecting this year's show.
It's been a lot different than in the past. We've started earlier, we've been working harder. Just our show, I think, is a lot more well thought out, and we've all come together, really. I think we've all connected to the show really well this year.
I think everyone wants to learn and everyone wants to get better, so it makes the progression a lot faster.
The show is a little different this year, though. Instead of having a set theme, it's about having faith and believing in oneself. Director Mark Yunt picked this concept specifically to reflect on his students.
Every day I see kids who don't have nearly enough faith in themselves and their ability to do things. And I think that students are incredibly powerful, and the thing that holds them back most of the time is themselves, not the other things around them.
Competitive show choir is fairly new to Martinsville. It arrived 3 years ago when Yunt brought it here, but that doesn't mean he necessarily cares about what the judges scoring have to say.
You can design a show so a judge will score you high, but I don't really care about that. I'm not a big fan of scores. I want people to watch our show and go, wow, those were all great songs. They were all different. They all had something fun to watch, something interesting, something that made me think.
This year's Special Olympics is moving to the spring, and as Zane Spangler tells us, it's getting a new name as well.
Martinsville High School will be hosting the Morgan County Unified Track Meet this spring. The event, formerly known as Special Olympics, or the Fall Festival of Fun, will include students with special needs from Martinsville, Mooresville, Eminence, and Monrovia.
And this is an opportunity to bring awareness and really to bring inclusiveness to the whole building, and not just for those students. It's an opportunity for all of our staff and students to realize that we can all have strengths and participate in activities together.
This year, older kids get the chance to compete first in the morning. After that, the younger group arrives and everyone has lunch together. Then the athletes in the event participate in a parade. just like when it is hosted by what was then West Middle School.
We would have the band there from West Middle School, and all of the different elementary schools and both middle schools, East and West, and the high school were represented. And the adult volunteers and the student volunteers would be walking with the participants. And it was just a feeling of unity and a real prideful feeling about Martinsville and being involved with something that was really great for everyone.
After the parade, the younger group of students get a turn at competing.
If I could spend my entire day working with students that have those needs, it would make it a really good day. They often are students that look forward to coming to school, and not all of our high school students look forward to coming to school every day. They bring a side out of everybody else around them that honestly it promotes being grateful for what you have. And those students, the opportunities that I do get to interact with them really sometimes are the bright spots of my day.
I just enjoy the effort that the kids put forward. The smiles on their faces when they just go out, they do it for the pure enjoyment of competition and competing. They're not worried about being a superstar. They're not worried about one that wins the gold medal or scores the points. They just love to go out and compete, and that's what really gets to my heart for seeing student athletes do that with or without disabilities.
Former Martinsville student Nathan Dooley is now the MSD of Martinsville's Assistant Director of Special Education and helps to plan the events.
I remember attending the event, sitting in the stands 30 years ago when I was a student at West Middle School.
Dooley explained that the district hopes to eventually follow the model of other schools by competing in specific unified sports that are sanctioned by the IHSAA in a program called Champions Together. This includes unified flag football, unified track and field, unified bowling, and more.
Eventually we'll get to the point where we'll have students with and without disabilities competing together in these type of events, involving more students as mentors in the program, involving parents, teachers, or students just to come out and support the event. We like to have as many people as we can in the stands and at the track.
We're just really excited to have the entire staff and student body supporting all of our students, and we are really looking forward to that day for everybody.
Well, it's a really good event for the parents and the kids all competing, so hope to see everyone out there.
The Morgan County Unified Track Meet will be here April 10th. Keep your ears out for an announcement in order to help out and get involved. Mrs. Cheatham, Mrs. Huff, and Mrs. Casey are all helping students to get involved. For MHS Rewind, I'm Zane Spangler.
The school just wrapped up some recent renovations and is now planning for a future building project. Style Meckling has a look at the recent improvements and the plans for the new Fieldhouse.
Change is something that has been relevant to the school. Martinsville has taken on some projects that are transforming the school. Hammond's, the auditorium, and the Fieldhouse are some components that are helping to enhance MHS. Hammond's is an alternative school that used to be located in the Central Education Center. Now it's on the Martinsville campus in the old Building Trades building next to the softball field. This change allows the students that attend that school to take advantage of the opportunities like electives or extracurriculars that the high school has to offer.
If we're looking at what's best for students, if we can eliminate barriers, then we're going to do that.
Another big alteration the school has taken on is the auditorium. At the beginning of the school year, the auditorium went through a renovation that finished just in time for the winter musical, Elf. The new auditorium includes a new ceiling, newly painted walls, and a completely new sound system. Another component of the new auditorium is it's ADA accessible.
The renovations have been fantastic. The colors are great, and the acoustics are even better than they were, which is really nice.
Also, there are plans in motion for a new Fieldhouse. The Fieldhouse will include special features like 3 basketball courts, a 3-lane track, a wrestling room, and a team meeting room. These new additions will allow the sports teams and performing arts students more space to practice.
It creates much more flexibility for our teams, our coaches, and I think it's going to be a huge, huge asset for our school as a whole.
While the designs have already been approved, there is no exact date for when construction of the Fieldhouse will begin, but the estimated finish time is for the start of the 2021-2022 school year. For MHS Rewind, I'm Style Meckling.
The students at MHS will really benefit from those improvements.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we won't be around for the new field house.
But the other athletes here will.
Yeah, well, let's send it over to RTV's top athlete, Anthony Talent, that takes a look at sports.
Thanks, guys. The MHS girls basketball team is on a hot streak as they finish off their regular season and head into the sectional tournament.
Since the end of November, the Martinsville girls basketball team has been on a roll. They've won 12 out of the last 13 games and have knocked off a couple of ranked teams, including Center Grove, in the process.
We can continue to kind of perfect what we're doing and not worry so much about our opponents. But with 4 games left in the regular season, I'm pretty excited about the spot that we're in terms of how we're playing.
The team has proven their dominance on defense, as that is the key to their recent win streak. The Artesians are averaging 9 steals and 2 blocks per game and are holding their opponents to only 40 points per contest.
We're one of the top 4A teams in the state in terms of giving up points per game. So that's something that we're really excited about. But that's probably the thing I'm most proud of, at least, is our defense.
Probably the best year all 4 years of my high school that we've had the best defense. We've held teams to pretty low scoring.
Even though the defense is what's winning them games, the Artesian offense is still performing, averaging 53 points a game. Ashlyn Traylor leads the team, averaging 13 points per game, and her older sister, Patience Walker, is scoring 12 points per game. But the team knows they have to continue to improve with the sectional only a couple weeks away.
I think we need to come out and play no matter what the team is. We have a problem with playing down to the level of our competition. I think we just need to stay stagnant to the sections.
You know, continuing to shoot, practice, and make sure that we are giving our kids every opportunity to win games from the rest of the regular season and in the postseason.
The Artesians see one of their possible sectional opponents on Tuesday when they battle Bloomington South at home. The boys basketball team hosted Decatur Central on Friday night. Junior Zach Lynn got the Artesians off to a quick start against the Hawks with a nice lay-in. Landon Myers drove into the lane and floated in the bucket to put the Artesians up by 2. Then Noah Stout stretched the lead to 6 with this 3. The junior finished with a team high of 13 points, but it wasn't enough as the Hawks pulled away late for the Mid-State Conference win. The MHS wrestling team is about halfway through their season. Olivia Osler gives us an inside look at how they are preparing for Mid-State and which wrestlers are having a successful season.
We're here, drop off.
The MHS wrestling team is about halfway through their season. The team is currently filling 13 of the 14 spots on the team, and 12 of them have a winning record.
For the team, it's been pretty good. Could be better. A lot more fight. We've lost a lot of close ones, but we're doing what we can.
MHS senior Micah Dotson is ranked 6th in the state and is 26-1 in the 220-pound weight class.
Micah, he's doing exceptionally well this year, pushing for his final season, trying to get that state title.
Bo Hess also has a winning record. He's 19-8 in the 170-pound weight class.
Bo's doing a great job for us this year. I'm really proud of what Bo has done from where he's came his freshman year when we first got our hands on him to where he is today. There's a night and day difference.
I've improved a lot from last year and wrestled more solid all around. Working on neutral more and just keeping flowing from one thing to another on the mat.
Head coach Briar Runyon says that all the freshmen on the team have really stepped up this year as well.
Trevor Hott's doing very well. Stevie Drake's doing very well. Overall, it's just a good season.
The team is 10-10 in dual meets this season, and their goal is to end up with a winning record. Up next for the Artesians is the Mid-State Tournament at Mooresville this Saturday. For MHS Rewind, I'm Olivia Osler.
The Martinsville swim team had their Mid-State Conference meet this past weekend. Matt Thomas has a story.
The team had their prelims last Thursday, and some swimmers advanced to the finals on Saturday. One Artesian swimmer had a special kind of performance. Blake Rain sets a new school record in the 100-meter breaststroke.
It's really nice. I've seen him up on the board for a while since I was a little kid, around 8, so it's good to get one down and hopefully more to go.
Rains also finished second in the 100 butterfly and got to go up against some of his former teammates at Franklin Community.
It was nice, just to show him that I've gotten better and not got worse as I moved on, but we're all family still, so it's all right.
And the sophomore teamed up with Miles Anderson, Austin Roy, and Gavin Davis to finish second in the 200-yard freestyle relay and third in the 400 freestyle relay.
I mean, you got to start with Blake Rains. I mean, anytime you break a record and anytime you win mid-state, I'm sure you swim the best. So we're really happy with the way Blake swam. He's been our leader in the pool in terms of getting points all year. Other people who have contributed on a high level for our mid-state placing would be Miles Anderson, Gavin Davis in the sprint events, Dylan Gardner in breaststroke. We had Austin Roy filled in great on 3 relays.
The girls also had some solid swims, turning in 4 top 8 finishes.
On the girls' side, Molly Stout had a great race as well. She's been one of our top performers as well on the girls' side. Reagan Hurst, Madeline Miller, Kayla Morris, Ellie Linthicum, all had huge contributions in the B final, helped get our points up.
I think Thursday was a little rough for all of us, especially me, but Saturday we definitely proved that we had more left in us, and Saturday turned out really good.
Now that mid-state is over, Coach Kirtland plans to improve the team's strength and conditioning so the swimmers can drop their time for sectionals.
The next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to be going harder than we've ever gone this season. We're going to blast out as hard as we can.
For MHS Rewind, I'm Matt Thomas.
The Martinsville Gymnastics team is excited for this year and what they have in store for this season. Mason Brown has a story.
The Martinsville Gymnastics team is jumping and flipping into their new season with a great performance at their first meet.
Our first meet out, I thought we did really well. I think we're going to improve. We got a meet coming up Saturday.
The girls scored a 93.7 overall Tuesday night.
We had a couple of falls. First time out, you're a little nervous and had a couple of falls on different pieces, so that's another couple points.
The team increased from 4 members last year to a total of 9 members this year.
Last year we had girls who had quit and hadn't come back for like years and years, so they were just coming back and didn't have a lot of skills. These girls have a lot of upper level skills, so they know what they're doing, so I think we're going to do really well.
Larry Sachs has been a gymnastics coach since 1977. He sees a lot of potential in the large group of girls he has to work with and has high hopes for them this season.
This is the largest team I've had since I can't remember when. Normally we have 4 or 5 girls, which is a normal. And you can only compete 6 as a rule in a meet, which that means you've got, sometimes a couple setting out, and so, the 5 or 6. But we stretched it out to 9 this year, so we're going to be all right.
The girls have big goals for this season and see no problem in accomplishing them. Sophomore Phoenix Woodard made it to regionals in vaulting last year and plans to make it in all 4 events this year.
We're looking forward to beating the record all around for, it's 104 from like 1980 something. So hopefully we beat it this year.
For MHS Rewind, I'm Mason Brown.
That wraps it up for a look at sports. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Anthony. Well, that does it for this edition of MHS Rewind. For Anthony Talent, Matt Thomas, and the rest of the RTV2 class, I'm Annabelle Cleary.
Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.